Time now for Markowski in a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street. Chris Markowski. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
So much to talk about with Egypt and the unrest there, but we're going to focus this morning on oil prices. A lot of people saying maybe these could skyrocket because they might shut down the Suez Canal, other issues. What do you think in the future?
What you just said is that oil prices could skyrocket. They can always skyrocket, and they can always skyrocket because we're relying on an area of the world that's obviously and clearly unstable.
Right.
And this is something that we really need to learn from. The reality is there's not a lot of oil coming out of Egypt, basically nothing. But they do have the Suez Canal where a lot of oil happens to get through.
Yeah.
If that were to go down, that would cause some problems. Now, the United States, we rely primarily on Canada and Mexico for our oil. However, it is a global market. So if something were to happen there, oil prices would go up, and we could be looking at $5 to $6 a gallon at the pump.
All right. Hey, listen, if you have questions for Chris dealing with financial... Time now for the Watchdog on Wall Street. Markowski in a minute. Now listen, we got to talk about interest on the debt because it is so bad. People are finally paying attention to this. Just let me read this. Interest payments on the national debt could total $5.5 trillion over the next decade, or about 79% of the new debt estimated to accrue between 12 and 21.
Am I supposed to be biting on my pinky?
Oh my God.
$1 trillion. I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, it's out of control. And the reality is we have an adjustable rate, meaning that if our interest rates go up, it can get really out of control in the amount of money that we owe, basically taking more and more of our budget every year just to pay our credit card bill.
So how do we reverse this? I mean, what...
How about living within our means?
Okay.
Novel concept. I mean, we don't have a revenue problem here in this country. What we do is we have a spending problem, and we're going to have to obviously start going through program by program by program and making some of these cuts.
All right, people are finally starting to pay attention to this. It's a huge issue. Send your questions on finance. Time now for Markowski in a minute with the Watchdog on Wall Street. Chris Markowski. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
We're talking about this article now in Psychological Science asking the question, how much of an influence is money on your intelligence of your children? You know, whether or not it makes a difference if you're poor, if you're rich, how your kid grows up to be smart or not.
Well, intelligence is a genetic thing. It's kind of like if you have a fast computer, but it's a garbage in, garbage out. If you've got a real fast computer and you fill it with porn, you've got a real fast computer with porn. Right. So obviously you're going to have to develop your kids and have to give expectations depending on what their intelligence is. And I really don't think it matters to that great of a degree the amount of money you make, as long as you have those high expectations for your children.
Right, because no matter how much you make, you can afford a library card, you can read to your kids, you can nurture them, which I think is clearly the most important factor.
It's not all about money. I mean, do you really want to be Britney and K-Fed's kids? Seriously.
Look, Paris Hilton. There's the daughter of a very wealthy man.
There you go.
Did it result in supreme intelligence? No. Daily Buzz.